Pacers lose their final home game of the season right here in Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Tony East still in the building with Forbes and Locked On Pacers. A tough one for the Pacers, quite frankly. 129-115 the final score. The Magic roll them over. Pacers were up for most of the first. Had some tough plays late in the quarter that made it a tied first quarter, and then the Magic just crushed the Pacers the next two quarters. 80 combined points for the lowly usual Magic offense across the second and third periods, including 43 in the second quarter. Pacers scored just 47 in that stretch as they fall behind by over 30 points at times in this game. They've had a couple games against the Magic of late where they just get so far behind. 35 in both the third and fourth quarter, the biggest leads for the Orlando Magic in this game. They just kicked butt all night. A team that you don't think of for their offense, the Magic, were playing great on the offensive end. They got a great night from ex-Pacer Trevelin Queen, who was 9 for 11 and made 5 threes on his way to 25 points. Anthony Black, a guy I loved coming out of the draft, 21 points, 7 assists, 6 boards. Tristan Da Silva, their first-round pick this year, with 14. Ex-Pacer Goga Batadze had 11 points on just 5 shot attempts. They got efficient nights up and down the roster. Jet Howard made a bunch of twos, which is not what he's known for. It was just a very impressive offensive performance from the Magic players who were available in a way that the Pacers defense looked weak. And look, the Pacers have not been a good defensive team all the time this season. Certainly better than last year, above average in terms of defensive rating, but it comes and goes, and it certainly went today. And you can't really blame them. I mean, you would expect better than this, but the focus was not needed. They had already locked up home court advantage. None of the Pacers starters played in this game. It was a back-to-back and a third and four nights with, again, nothing really to play for. They could move up to 3, but they couldn't even have known entering the day if that would change their first-round opponent. The Pistons and Bucks, before this game started, unknown who would be 5 and 6. We'll talk more about that later. So impossible for the Pacers to understand what was at stake by winning or losing, and so rest is a smart play, especially with draft considerations at stake. So no Tyrese Halliburton, no Andrew Nembhard, no Nesmith, no Pascal Siakam, no Miles Turner, and then no Ben Shepherd or Isaiah Jackson off the bench. So only 11 for the Pacers. James Johnson didn't play. The rest of the 10 available Pacers all played at least 10 minutes in this game, right? It was not a game that featured their best lineups. In fact, it never had any of their stars or best 2 defenders on the floor. So in some ways, it can be expected that with nothing to play for, the Pacers would look a little weak, but the Magic also had nothing to play for. None of their starters played in this game. They had already locked up their division title. They're locked into the 7 seed, and they had a great offensive night. While the Pacers, while they did shoot well from deep, were rather pedestrian in several other ways. The Magic dominated the game in the paint compared to the Pacers, finishing well on twos, having more actual points in the paint, and just rocking in lots of ways that the Pacers couldn't figure out. But this game wasn't really about the game, if that makes any sense. It's hard for the Pacers to take anything of note away about their team-wide performance without so many of their identity setters out, if that makes any sense. All the guys who the Pacers rely on to play the way they play weren't available. And so in that way, it's hard to take a lot away in terms of big picture things for the Pacers. But I thought some guys stepped up and had nice nights in ways that were meaningful. Benedict Mathurin on the glass. He led the Pacers with 8 rebounds, tied with Jarris Walker. And he got to the line 13 times in this game, right? The stuff he's good at can shine when he was given the chance. He did miss 12 shots, shot under 30%, right? I'm sure he'd like to have a lot of that back. But some of the other stuff that he uniquely is qualified to do on the Pacers, he did that in this game. Jarris Walker continues to look more and more comfortable in his extended minutes. Him and Mathurin combined for 10 turnovers. I'm sure that's something they would like to have back. But Walker with 15 points, 8 boards, 3 assists, 2 blocks on 6 for 11 shooting. He made 2 threes. Ever since he's gotten a shot in the rotation of late, he's looked much better. I think he had one game recently earlier this week. Maybe it was the Wizards game, might have been the one before that, where his effort wasn't there, didn't play very much. All the rest, he's looked much better, much more comfortable, and the shot is falling, which has kept him on the floor. So those 2 guys were the 2 of the most eyeballs on them. 2 recent lottery picks for the Pacers starting, getting chances to play big minutes. They led the team in minutes. But I thought the standout compared to at least my typical expectations was Johnny Furphy, who maybe my expectations should be a little higher because he keeps doing this kind of stuff when he's out there. He's shown that he has a nose for the ball. On the glass, he once again had 6 boards in this game. He had 3 assists. He plays very physical. Didn't turn the ball over a single time. Career high 17 points for Furphy, and he hit 2 threes. A lot of big plays in the fourth. His first ever podium game, coming to talk to us in the media room after the game. Well-deserved. He played very well. He played controlled. He drew some and ones and actually finished them. The free throws did not fall. If he made all of his free throws, he had his first ever 20-point game in the NBA. A lot to be encouraged about with him. He's got a lot of work to do on consistency, handle, but the physicality being there, the rebounding being there gives him at least a floor and a base to build from in the NBA, and I think that is certainly encouraging. Tony Bradley sniffed a triple-double, making 5 shots in the paint and grabbing 9 boards, 6 of them on the offensive glass. He does well there. Quentin Jackson made all of his shots from deep and made free throws. He just has such speed with the ball that no one else on the Pacers roster really has. On his way to 13 points, Ray J. Dennis had his first 10-point game, 10-plus point game in the NBA. I think all of his baskets came in the fourth quarter. A lot of guys who don't usually play had standout nights, although, again, not a lot to long-term, big-picture takeaway from any of that. The guys who are going to play in the playoffs, T.J. McConnell, Thomas Bryant, Obi Toppin, we're all in this game. The Pacers got blasted with those guys on the floor, but again, nothing to play for. There will be likely nothing to play for the Pacers, but pride, getting 50 wins, whatever you want to say, on Sunday when they play the Cavaliers in Cleveland, Ohio for their final game of the season. But it's said already the Pacers are the 4 seed. Because of this loss, they can no longer catch the New York Knicks. Elsewhere in the NBA tonight, the Bucks took down the Detroit Pistons in Detroit. Good news for the Bucks. They can now rest players on Sunday against Detroit as well because they have locked up the 5 seed, which means get ready. Round 2 of Pacers-Bucks is coming. Pacers have home court advantage this time. The Bucks have Giannis this time. It will look much, much, much different than last year, despite the Pacers having almost the exact same cast of characters. The Bucks do not. The Bucks play differently. Giannis is on a tear. Their bench looks completely different stylistically. What leads to success for that Milwaukee team is entirely different. It's going to be a drastically different series and a very interesting one to keep an eye on in that second round. So nothing to play for the Pacers or Bucks, but I'll go over a couple of things to keep an eye on in a channel on this video probably next week, but it's officially set even more so than it was before. So again, I will not tell the Pacers what they should want to play for or how they should hope their final game goes in Cleveland. The Cavs have nothing to gain by winning or losing. The Pacers have nothing to gain by winning, but in theory could get a better draft pick by losing. A lot of the teams around them in the standings are Western Conference teams that will be trying their hardest to win on the last day of the season for certain playoff things, so it's possible for the Pacers to move up the draft order. However, I will concede that it is a nice round number and feels good to win 50 games in a season, and the Pacers can do that by beating the Cavs on Sunday. So strategically, if I'm the Pacers, I'm not risking injuries. I'm not putting any of the starting 5 or better players on the floor. But again, I cannot fault them for making whatever choices and prioritizing whatever they decide to make. But they can now prep earlier. They can get their Bucks film going. Rick Carlisle talked about them today, post-game, talking about the challenges that they could present, especially having Giannis on their team. He said they're great. They've got 2 of the best players in the world. We're too familiar with how lethal they are as a team. They've gotten better this year. They've got more depth. They've got more shooting. Many challenges. Many challenges indeed, including for the Pacers in this game against the Magic. But being so limited, I don't think anyone is disappointed by the result. One more game for the Pacers this season. I will be in Cleveland on Sunday for Pacers-Cavs, so expect a video there. And then it's time for playoff basketball. Looking forward to that. I'll be at every Pacers playoff game. Videos here, Locked On Pacers, Forbes is where you can find me. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next one.